blessed with a championship prosperity the likes of which we have never seen, cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
How do we usually do this? This is
Hey, what's up?
Blursed. You
Hello.
may have forgotten us because it's been a minute. We took our longest hiatus yet for summer vacation. Blursed
Heyo.
summer lampoon vacation, whatever. We're back though. It's been a minute. We've been busy, life events and summer and all that stuff. But we got the full crew here today. We're gonna
That we do.
get caught up on a few items and then just have a good time. What's up? It's Blake
What's
and
up,
Aaron.
everybody?
Hey, we're back.
Back again. Honestly, so baseball season's still going on, and we've started our fantasy football draft, and I don't even care about fantasy baseball anymore. And we have all we're doing is slow drafting. I've looked more at our slow draft, looking at the draft board, than I've looked at my fantasy baseball
Yeah.
team in the last week.
I finally made the right call for the first time in a couple years of declining invites to fantasy baseball. Each year, or maybe every 2 years, I get pulled back in. I forget that I'm not good at it, and I don't understand a lot of it. And I'm like, okay, even though I'm getting way better, back into real baseball, but still not there yet on the fantasy.
Absolutely.
So this year I was able to hold off and not do it, and I'm really enjoying not doing it because I know I'd be hating it right now.
Yeah, I
I'm
got
actually-
kicked out of Gray's League a couple years ago for not showing up in person. So
Ooh.
I'm notorious for that, though. Well, I didn't
Yeah.
get kicked out. It was just like, oh, there's
But,
an
yeah.
auction draft, and we need
Right, you have to
people
be there.
I see.
I think so. I'm in that league now, actually, and I'm on a 7-game win streak, which put me into third place. That shows you how bad I was doing.
Oh, hot toddy.
And I honestly am just playing it based on numbers. I don't know players' names half the time. I just look up last 7 days. Man, they've been hitting the shit out of the ball. All right, I
Yeah.
pick them up, ride it out, drop them. And
That's the
if they
thing
stay
about
hot,
sports, man. It's a
is.
combination of arts and statistics that are important.
really
And
is.
so you can look at both and use a combination of both. That's how you know.
Absolutely.
Some of these guys I'm drafting here in our 12-hour per draft pick draft. It's a combination of the eye test. Do they got a little extra juice? And then have they performed at all in the past
Man.
few
Yeah.
years?
And Dynasty, more than anything that I've noticed, is like you kind of have to go with your gut on some picks because you see crazy stuff like watching Derrick Henry fall to the fourth round, like, and it makes sense because it's a dynasty and he's 29. But
Yep.
you got to go with your gut. When do I take him? And like, what am I building? Am I trying to win this year, or am I trying to be competitive? Like, or am I trying to be competitive this year and maybe luck into something? But because I mean, if you look at the whole league, there's 12 different teams, and everyone kind of has a different build style right now going.
Yeah, I think
So-
with me, I fell into from what I understand, of a very big and common trap for startup dynasty drafts, which is overvaluing youth. And I did that probably with my first pick. Not that I think it was a bad pick, but I think that's where I was at. So with the next few picks, yeah, I calmed down. I was like, all right, you know what? Let's get some guys that are well established. We don't have to only focus on longevity here, because if you win the first year of your dynasty startup and never again,
You're still
you
winning.
still won the league.
There you go.
They'll never take it
Absolutely.
away from you.
Dude, absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, like Kelsey and Adams probably both still have at least 2 more years in their prime. Like, at least I feel like that way.
Kelsey,
And-
I think Kelsey's got more than that.
oh yeah,
He's
right. I mean,
33.
well, here's the
which
thing.
younger
is,
than
he
I
is.
thought.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing: Tony Gonzalez plays till 38. So like, even
Right.
if Kelsey goes to like second tier tight end, that's still better than half the league
And-
tight end.
He'll still be
And
bottom,
people-
like tight end 5.
Exactly.
People, he's currently entering the stage of his career where he's reaping the rewards for what people used to call him out for, which was Travis Kelsey. Even though he's a big bruising tight end, he's notorious for running out of bounds and not taking the hit.
Oh, absolutely.
Which, like I said, people earlier in his career used to call him out for that. But you wait, he's going to play another 5 or 6
And-
years, and that's
Oh,
part of the
absolutely.
reason.
That's such an underrated skill for every position. And that's something
Yes.
like I noticed a lot with work done back when the Falcons had him and like Vic
Yeah.
and stuff. He was so good at avoiding like massive contact. He would take like
Oh,
a
absolutely.
like a slight blow to the shoulder, but then he'd go down. And people thought it's because he was small, but he was actually just smart, and that's how he had a long career for such a small running back.
Exactly right. Yeah,
Absolutely. I think too, your fourth pick too. If we've only gone through 5.5 rounds, everybody. It's 12 hours per pick. Obviously, it can go faster than that, but in the fourth round, pick number 2, you got Josh Jacobs, which I thought dude's only 25, 26. Like that's I know running backs
he
start
led
to
the
hit
league in rushing last year.
Yes, and he catches the ball too. He does
Yes.
both. And like if you look at their team, it's just him and Devontae Adams. So like you got to go one place to the other. There's
Yeah,
really no other
It's going to
option.
be Jimmy G dropping it off to him in the flats as long as he's there. That's the concern right now, as he's having like the contract dispute issues with the Raiders. But I don't really know how any running back wins. There's not a solution to this problem.
So yeah,
I feel bad for him, but I think that I'm not an owner's guy. I'm never ever on the side of the owners. And I wouldn't even necessarily say I'm on the side of the owners here, but perhaps I am by default. It's just the least or perhaps the most replaceable position.
Most replaceable. That's the best way to
in
say
real
it.
football, I mean.
Yeah.
And certainly they're at a premium in fantasy football, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
So Knox in our league brought up a good point to me because I was talking to him about this. I was talking about, he messaged me and was like, why is Kai so low on Bijan? And I said, well, from a financial standpoint, he just doesn't agree with, and I explained that to him. He said, well, the thing, like if you guys look at Saquon Barkley, like Saquon Barkley apparently turned down 18 million last year and this year he signed a 1 year, 11 million. He said, look, Saquon Barkley is their best player and he's only making $11 million. He goes, as of right now, he goes, I'm not worried about Bijan's contract at all because what's Bijan going to do? Like, oh, well, the next best guy makes 20 million. No, it's not the case. Like, no one's paying him that. So, if you can land one of these players at the Barkley level and get them on, like, so here's to be honest, like they're paying Danny Dimes 40 million, and you're paying Barkley 11 million. There is something wrong there. These running backs got to start going 1 year contracts for $20 million or some crap because that's how you win.
But if everybody doesn't do that, then they can't, and then they're also so easily replaceable that they'll never have to.
No one's going to offer them that. Yeah, and there's not much they can do.
And so, if you guys aren't following this, listeners, the issue is that running backs' pay over the past 10 years has actually decreased in the NFL, as opposed to every other position group has increased like 20%. Like inflation should tell you that they are going to get paid more, but it's just the availability of the running backs and the short length of their careers because of the wear and tear they take. It's tough. If you love your kids, don't tell them to be a running back. Don't let them be.
The money's not there.
Tell them to go play soccer, but also
not in America. It's not there either. Money wise, yeah.
But also to that point, Hayden, yes, the wear and tear on their body, but also the NFL over the past 30 years has, and culminating with right now more so than ever, transitioned into such a passing league. And so you have running backs that the traditional running back, the bruisers, they don't need them anymore. They need guys like Josh Jacobs that can catch it out of the backfield and be beneficial there. But even then, it's still like exactly what Hayden said. You're taking a ton of hits.
Well, look at like Marshall Faulk is the kind of guy ahead of his time where he'd catch 60, 80, 70, 80 passes in a season and also get 1,000, 2,000 yards or 1,000 yards rushing. Like, and I know you're low on Bijan, and I think personally it's more of a vendetta against the Falcons picking him and less about the player because I think Bijan's the next coming of like a Marshall Faulk type player who can catch 60, 70 passes in a season. And
we've seen them, right? Like Austin Eckler has been that of recent years. Christian McCaffrey,
but
so
he's a bigger back than them too.
He's not Christ himself coming back. It's just I mean, so the story goes, I drafted Bijan after shitting on him after our draft. I drafted him quite early. In most dynasty drafts, he was going in the top 3. So I felt like I thought there was no way he would fall to me, really, being a group of Falcons fans.
I thought Anthony was going to take him at 1.
Me too. He went. So guys, just so y'all know, we went quarterback. I think 2 of the first 3 or 3 of the first 3, maybe. No, 3 of the first 4 were quarterbacks. So I went Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jefferson, Hurts, and I thought Josh Allen was actually the biggest reach that first round. Even with your we gave you help with the Breece Hall pick, but the Josh Allen was a bigger reach. I thought
personally. It was, and I think Pat Mahomes was the Like he should be the number 1 pick in every dynasty
Absolutely.
draft, in my opinion.
I think so.
What was he? He was ranked around 5 though, and I was like,
Which is-
I will take him at 5.
Oh yeah, if
He's
was
like,
there,
how old
my
is he?
God.
26 or something like that.
I
So
don't
he's,
even.
he can
yeah,
play
he
until he's
maybe-
40 the way he plays too,
Yes.
like without having to adjust
27.
much of his game.
27.
Okay, so
So,
he's got
yeah.
10 plus years left in his
Exactly.
career of being basically the next Tom Brady. Yeah,
Right.
I'll
Yes.
take it.
And
And it's
I
so
think
safe.
that-
It is
Yeah.
so safe.
Absolutely. I think the opportunity cost, though, is why people don't always take him first overall. Because, for example, you get Bijan at 5. Like, personally, I think Bijan's going to the best back to own in fantasy for the next 5 years is Bijan. Past that, I don't know. But for the next 5 years, because here's the thing: sometimes with rookies, you don't want to draft them because are they going to come in and make an immediate impact? I mean, Bijan was drafted to do that. Barkley came in and did that. You can go back to Adrian Peterson. Christian McCaffrey in his first year did that. And Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back in the league. Like even when Bijan's base salary is the highest, McCaffrey still makes like 14 million this year for San Francisco. So if you can do both catch and run, you're going to get paid. I mean, you're a
So-
playmaker.
And you said earlier about me disliking Bijan more for a personal vendetta against the Falcons, and that is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But it's less, or maybe not less, but half of the fact that they took a running back so high,
Mhm.
but the other half being that I felt that we had much bigger needs to address.
Right. Right.
But when it comes to let me challenge you on this though, Blake, what you said about Bijan being perhaps, and Hayden, you too, since you are the one that took him there.
Yeah.
That him being the most valuable fantasy or dynasty back over the next 5 years, I think is how you put it,
yeah.
which I get. But isn't it in a very odd situation where he's coming into a team whose head coach has a system that fits Bijan very well, but that head coach is perhaps in his make or break it year.
Mhm.
And if break it happens and he gets the boot, who's to say another coach isn't going to come in and have a completely different philosophy that doesn't utilize Bijan the way
Yeah.
that Art might?
I see what you're saying. I think to maximize his potential, I think Art's the coach. I mean, that's why.
Yeah,
Well, let me say a couple things first. I want to say first,
that I agree with.
I was talking to Nick about this. If you're gonna be mad at any pick they've made in these first 3 years, Kyle Pitts, and I agree with you, Aaron. Like I'm on the same
I
page with you
was,
now. Like
and I
that's
am.
that's the worst pick they've made in the first 3 years. Like
Yeah.
if you didn't make the Kyle Pitts pick, the Bijan pick looks way better. I think
Yes.
personally. I think so.
Yeah, if you take out Kyle Pitts and you put in Penei Sewell and then you draft
Drake
Bijan,
London and go Bijan. Yeah.
yeah, Drake.
You're fine
and
with
then Bijan,
I'm fine with
I'm
all
fine.
that. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
So I'm with you, and it looks less bad. To your other point, I think Art Smith is the coach to maximize him, but I think
Yep.
whoever comes in next wouldn't be dumb enough to not to still use him as your. It's like having Justin Jefferson on your team or Jamar Chase or any of these.
Yeah.
Because like Bijan passes kind of like Barkley does this and Christian McCaffrey does this. Like they're like the three that do it in their own unique way. They pass the
Sure.
just typical running back. You're a playmaker. Like they're going to put you. Bijan can line up wide receiver, and we're going to see that this year. He's going to line up in the
Yes.
slot. They've been doing it in training camp. In training camp, they ooze about people all the time, but I've never seen Falcons media ooze over a player quite like they've done Bijan, almost to a point where I'm annoyed. Like I just want to see him. Like stop oozing about him. Like I want to see
Yeah.
him play now. Like get him.
It's
on the
like
field.
every single day is a route of him on a double move and he's burning cornerbacks.
It's burning,
Honestly,
dude.
it sold the hell out of me. I'll be
Dude,
honest.
the
I was
coolest
like,
part
oh boy.
was
One-handed
day one-
catches and stuff too. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
That's
day
pretty good.
one, he got beat by the guy. He tried to do a double move. The guy read it, which was Troy Anderson, who runs a 4.4 at linebacker, and actually deflected the pass. And since that's happened, he's beat every person at that one-on-one drill.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was Troy Anderson. Again,
it was Troy.
that he hit that double move on.
Oh yeah,
that was nice. That was sick.
Yeah, and
by
Troy's
the
a
way,
good coverage
I
guy.
have breaking news. I have Blursed Fantasy League breaking news here. I don't know if Hayden has a sound bite for that. It looks like he's looking around for something.
Oh no. I was looking at my phone.
Gotcha. All right. gotcha.
Spoiler
He's like,
alert.
what is
I
it?
know
For
what's gonna
breaking-
be said.
Frank with the sixth pick in the fifth round. Frank Vetrano takes Miles Sanders.
Nice. I like. I
Yeah, Carolina's new
like it.
back.
was talking to Nick about this earlier, who he's also in this league. He was saying if you're going to pick a guy on the Panthers, go Miles Sanders, go Hayden Hurst. Who is a rookie running back or quarterback going to throw it to? Running back, tight end. Like
That's
those are the
exactly
two best
right.
guys to take. Do I like Miles Sanders 3 years from now? No, but for the next couple of years, I don't hate it. Like in the fifth round, as you're starting
He'll be a
running back.
workhorse. That's how you
That's good.
rebuild around a young quarterback too, right? The right
Mhm.
way is you have a good offensive line, you have a good run game, and hopefully a good defense, and then you can turn things around quickly.
And
And
that-
Real quick to speak to the Arthur Smith, maybe heading out of town after this year.
I would like to. Yeah, comment on that
That's
too.
a risk and a consideration when taking Bijan. My assessment is I think the Falcons make the playoffs this year because of their ease of schedule, because of some of the moves that we've made and the base that we've gathered of depth with our organization. So I don't see it happening. And then I also think about Arthur Smith, offensive coordinator for Tennessee, peak Derrick Henry. So that they're different skill sets.
He made Tannehill look like a top quarterback in the league.
Peak Tannehill too.
Dude,
Yeah.
he made Tannehill went to back-to-back AFC championships because of Arthur Smith. I mean, there's
shows
a lot
how
of
bad
stuff
Mariota is, really.
It does.
Dude, honestly, it does. It really does. I mean,
I do
just
want
wanna-
to say this, and
Yep.
this is completely superficial, but Art Smith rocking the stash now.
Well
I
done.
mean,
he needed it. He needed
he
something
needed
going
it
on.
so bad.
It's the look.
Why did
man.
he do that before?
He
My
says
man's
it's-
needs a beard or something
Yes.
for that chin.
he's got,
It's tough. or lack thereof.
He says his
Or
favorite
lack
season of
thereof,
coaching so far, and I think it has everything to do with the mustache.
It's
it has
got
to.
to. I respect him more.
Absolutely.
Immediately.
Absolutely.
Immediately, I respect him.
Hayden, you said something though that I want to hit the nail on the head was the depth. We talked about this last year, how I said Falcons have more depth than we've had in the last 3 years. Because Dan Quinn's team, we were very top loaded, and after that,
Mhm.
because Dimitrov did a horrible job drafting. We just had no depth, and then his free agents he brought in were always tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like he always tried to go get a starter. He never went for depth guys in free agency. He's always like, oh, let's go get this starter. Let's go get this starter. And when you can't draft well either, it's you're so prone to injury that you're not going to do well if you start losing some players. When you look around at training camp, almost at every position, you could name 1 or 2 players that could go probably start or be a value player for another team in the NFL. And that's the first time I can say that since we've gone to the Super Bowl. I'm being honest. I'm not look at our defensive line, Onyemata, Calais Campbell, Grady Jarrett, all 3 would either start or be premium role players on another team. You look at our secondary, Jesse Bates, Terrell, even Okudah would, I'm not saying he would start in every team, but Okudah would be a rotating cornerback on every team he would be on right now. Even Richie Grant, and is going to be in his 3rd year. I think he's going to step up. So the amount of depth this team has is just so much more than we've had in the last 5 years as a Falcons fan. And it's got me excited.
It's real early, but tell me what's the best outcome for the Falcons this season? How far do we go in the best case scenario?
Second round of playoffs, NFC champ. You could luck into the NFC championship if Ritter plays not luck. You could earn the NFC championship spot
If San Francisco
Ritter
goes through
develops.
4 quarterbacks again this year, then
That's the
we can
thing.
get into the
Yeah,
NFC
I
championship.
mean, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I
That's
would
crazy.
actually agree with Blake there. That I think that when you asked that, what popped into my head was also the divisional round, the second round of the playoffs.
Second round.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think that's tops.
And Ritter's first starting year, that'd be incredible. And I really do think, I know I've been the optimist one, but I mean, we said it last year. I said we probably won't win more than 7 games. We won 7 games. I'm saying this year we're winning 10 games. And if you should hit that over on Vegas now, because by the time the
Are we
season
at
starts,
10?
it's
what
8
is
and a
it?
half is the win over.
I actually
easy
want to
money.
place a bet on that because
It's
that's
minus
not-
122
it wouldn't make
odds,
sense
too,
with the rest of the division in just turmoil. There's no reason we shouldn't win this division for at least 3 years.
I mean,
I will say the Panthers are the one that's concerning, I guess,
Yes.
because Bryce Young could be something special.
He could.
And that can change the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
100%. But then to your point, you go over to Tampa Bay, and I almost vomited when I heard the sentence, heated QB battle between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield.
It's bad.
That makes me rich. I mean,
That's
that is
tough.
That's hard to hear.
And the Saints are just
Going out
they're
to make sure you get Derek Carr isn't too
they're
rewarding as
pasture.
a Saints fan either.
If you're a Saints fan, you're like, we're just putting off the inevitable for years. Their cap situation's hell, and they're just putting it off every year. Eventually, it's all going to come back, and they're going to be the bottom feeders in a year or two. So I agree with you. It's
But
us
hey,
and the
watch
Panthers.
out. Michael Thomas is back, baby.
He's back.
3 years for that one ankle roll.
3 years in a row, baby's back.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but it is funny how the NFC South feels like it switches between the Falcons and Panthers being good at the same time, and then the Bucks and the Saints being good at the same time. I don't know why it's in a rotation like that, depending on when
weird.
the rebuilds happen. But it feels like that is coming again this season.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
speaking of the, I just wanted. So I saw someone point this out the other day to the Michael Thomas thing. It was like Michael Thomas rolled an ankle. Damar Hamlin died and came back before. He came back before Michael Thomas.
Oh my god,
dude, it's so true though.
It is.
the man's
so
heart
true.
stopped.
Yeah, and he's back.
He's
If
back.
we
Before
we're talking
Michael
about
Thomas.
Falcons, and y'all are being a little more optimistic than normal. So I just want to throw out a hot take. My
Well,
hot
now's
take,
the time.
yeah, my hot
Mm.
take is that, and I think it's not a hot take, but y'all might think it is. I think Art Smith's a good coach, and I think he's going to prove it this year. And I think they extend him and Terry after this year, and I think they earn it. Like I don't think it's like a man.
Well, do you need to extend Terry? Wasn't his contract longer?
Maybe it was. I don't know.
I feel like they
My-
give
my-
them longer deals to start
Probably.
with, like 5
And Terry,
years or
and I'll be
something.
honest, like regardless of Arthur Smith, Terry's done a great job. The Kyle, and I do think the Kyle Pitts pick is on him though, because if you look at Kyle Pitts, he doesn't fit Arthur's scheme. Drake London, that's Brown. If you look at Bijan, that's Henry. Like the Kyle Pitts could be, you could say Jonnu Smith, but like more athletic. But I think
Well, it's turning out like Johnny
Yeah.
Smith because they drafted him in Tennessee too and never used him, and he's never
That's
been
a
really
great point.
utilized very
except for
well.
with Art Smith, yeah. I mean, he would, but it's easy to forget that he did have like 80 catches and 1,000 yards his rookie year, and it would have been a better year if Calvin Ridley doesn't disappear. I think personally, that's what I think, but some people think differently.
Well, we've beat that horse to death.
Yeah,
so
but I
we don't
still
have-
think I'll be honest with
I
you.
don't have
though,
to argue with that.
Anthony took Kyle Pitts in the second round. I felt like that was a reach because I
Huge
think
reach,
I think
in
he's
my
the
opinion.
third option on this offense. I think it's Bijan, I think it's Drake London, and then I think it's Kyle Pitts.
I agree.
And that's not to diss Kyle Pitts. I think there's gonna be a shot. Like Kyle Pitts is gonna be the guy that takes shots on, but I bet he only gets 4 or 5 catches a game.
He might be the fourth option if they're actually gonna be legit in splitting Bijan out into the slot and letting Algier.
Oh,
you're
it's a
right.
great point.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's a good
though. I
point.
mean,
And that
that's the
sucks
thing
as
is-
someone that's in a different fantasy league. I'm sitting on Kyle Pitts as a keeper. I think.
Oh, that's right.
You are.
So
Yeah, you
that's
are.
tough to swallow.
But I'll be honest though, like as a Falcons fan, it's exciting because I want both I think Algier and Bijan could both, like personally, I think Bijan looks at like 800 yards rushing and I would say 600 yards catching. He's around 1,400 total purpose yards. And I think Algier probably hits that 1,000-yard rushing. Like I think they both have incredible running seasons. I'm not even joking. Like I think I could see them both
Well,
average
especially with
around-
17 games now.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
you hope. And then even if you don't reach that mark, we have to play off the run and we have to
Yes.
use play action effectively.
Yep.
Yep.
And I really hope Desmond's working on that a lot this offseason, is like
Yep.
really selling that and studying how to do that in an appropriate way. Like you think of other teams that were built like that and then become a passing offense later on. Early Steelers with Big Ben.
Yep.
That was
Sure,
huge.
absolutely.
And then he
Absolutely.
started
Russell Wilson.
getting, Russ as well, leaning
Yeah.
on Marshawn.
Honestly, early
Marshawn.
Tom Brady did.
Tom Brady, yeah, absolutely.
They
Corey
ran the hell
Dillon.
out of the football back
Yeah.
then. Yeah, Corey Dillon, all those
That's
guys.
important.
No, it's a great point, honestly. And I think, too, fun fact, Bijan and Desmond are roommates for training camp. And I think Matt Collins is with Drake
Yas
London.
King.
And Frank Darby came out and said the wide receiver room has an identity this year. And Matt Collins has been a big reason for that. And a lot of people are like been raving about Matt Collins. I'm glad we have him. Like
He's
I
a
know
leader.
He's a leader. Exactly. He's a leader of men. So I'm glad we have more leaders. In the
He's a
field
leader
house.
who can also occasionally pop off.
Dude, he looks the part. I mean, he's shredded,
He's
man.
a big
He
athletic.
put on some
receiver.
weight, it seems like.
He did. No, absolutely. He said too, he left more money on the table to come play for the Falcons because he believed in what we were doing. I was like, cool.
There's a couple
huge.
of players that have said stuff like that.
Yeah,
too.
Calais Campbell said the same thing. Left more money to come play the Falcon. I think I know as like a billionaire's son, it's easy to be like, well, Arthur Smith. My thing why I like him is, let me be honest, if I was a billionaire's son, I probably wouldn't work. Probably
Oh,
wouldn't.
God, no.
I'd probably
Of
just
course
do
not.
this. This would be my
Oh,
job.
God.
I wouldn't
And
even do
Arthur
this,
Smith
man.
has busted his
wouldn't
ass
even
to get
do
to be a head
this.
coach. So my point is,
I'd be an asshole buying stubs on MLB The Show right now.
So we should. No, Calvin Ridley was just taken with the 7th pick. That was going to be
Oh.
my pick. No, man, I wanted that stack with Trevor Lawrence. Man, that got me.
I don't want to give
That makes me
away.
feel emotional.
I don't want to give away any tips, but Christian Kirk's like 30 picks down from Calvin Ridley, and is 2 years younger and is better.
He's not
So-
better.
Yeah.
He's not better.
All right. Well,
Do you
then
know-
maybe he'll be sitting there waiting for me. Then
Yeah.
he hasn't had
Calvin
his.
Rid-
Well,
Calvin
not-
Ridley's incredible, man.
everybody has mental problems these days, but we don't miss half a football season. because
Yeah.
of-
Again, Calvin Ridley was.
That's
incredible,
true.
Blake.
That's true. He's look good in shorts.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Thursday All American.
There you go.
I guess Wednesday because NFL plays on Thursday sometimes. But anyway,
It's true.
Speaking of, I actually had a schedule question. We don't play in London this year, do we?
No, not this year. Wait,
It's called
no,
schedule.
that was last
over
year.
there.
It was last year.
Yeah, the schedule. Yeah, that was last year. But I was gonna ask, with there being an uneven number of games now, do we have more home games or away games? Because that has to happen to somebody.
This year we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have more. No, we have 8. So we have more away games this year.
That hurts a little bit. I
It
don't
does.
love it.
I don't love it either.
But anyway, that's just something that's not super consequential. I
So
was just curious.
we've been promoted from being a London
But-
team. They're like, oh, they're good enough now where they
Yeah, they're
don't
better.
have to go to
Yeah,
London.
You're
yeah,
right.
why? I'm sure it's because the teams hate it. But like, why do they send the shitty teams
Certain-
over there? If
no,
you're trying to grow the
man.
game, why don't
Yeah.
you send
Well, certain
so.
teams had deals, and when we got that deal, we were actually pretty decent. Like we've been going over there since like 2014 or something like that, and playing in London. The Falcons have. It's been the same teams like Falcons,
The-
Jets. There's
yeah.
Jags.
there's certain teams,
one of
Jags,
the
yeah.
worst?
And I
Jags
think
are
it's
the one
East
that
Coast-
they want to move over there.
Well, it's East
eventually.
Coast teams that they got because it makes sense time zone wise. They
It
can
does.
watch their games
Yes.
the easiest.
Have to.
Yeah. So
One of the
that's
worst
why.
Falcons games I've ever seen in my life. It was in Mike Smith's last
was that
year.
Detroit?
We played Detroit. We were up 20-0 at halftime. Detroit came back to beat us 22-20.
And wasn't we lose because of a Mike Smith not calling a timeout, or he did call a timeout or something? Like, he was
I think
notorious.
I'm
for us
sure
losing
there
in
were some sort of
timeouts.
clock management issues. The
They called a
worst part of the
timeout
game
for
was
Detroit.
yeah, Dirk Cutter on 3rd and very short, like 3rd and inches. Dirk Cutter called a wide receiver screen to Julio that got blown the fuck up for like a 4 or 5 yard loss.
That doesn't surprise me, man.
Yeah. That one sticks out in my mind because we could have kicked a field goal to go up 23 to like 16 or something, and instead we got out of field goal range for that. So anyway,
Did we have an identity when Dan Quinn was the Falcons head coach,
no,
or was Matt
yeah,
Ryan, or was he a byproduct of Matt Ryan and Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah, that was his identity. His identity was
His defense,
Shanahan.
and the defense wasn't
a good hire.
the whole time he's here.
I don't think he's that. I mean, I don't know. He coached the Legion of Boom, but you could have that same argument of like, is he a good defense coordinator, or did he just have the best secondary maybe ever?
But he's
And
doing
he
it again
inherited-
in
but
Dallas.
He
is,
inherited
but
a lot of good players, though. Micah
thing
Parsons.
is, is that Dallas defense that good? Is
Mhm.
it? Is I don't know. If
It's
they
not
are.
Legion of Boom, but it's
They've been
top
No,
top
10.
certainly
five
not.
the
It's
last
top
2
10
years, I
yeah.
think.
Yes. Okay.
But they're not the same as the Legion of
But
Boom.
it's different too.
Right.
Though they bend though. They give up more
He's
yards.
got
than Legion of
talent.
Boom. It's more
I also
takeaways.
look at. I don't know. I'm not a Trayvon Diggs guy.
No.
I think that he kind of sucks actually compared to his.
He's opportunistic.
He's a
Yeah,
playmaker.
like
Yeah.
he makes a lot
He
of plays,
is.
makes a ton of mistakes though.
Yeah.
Gets burnt a lot.
But that's their whole defense. Micah Parsons
But he
kind of
also
same way
leads
as
the
a
league in
gambler.
interceptions or something.
And Michael Parsons leads the league in
It's a
sacks. Like,
smart
that's
way
why it
to play,
helps.
like to make a name for yourself, to be like
Yes.
a household cornerback is like, oh, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
get a bunch of interceptions. If I get burned, I get burned,
Yeah.
whatever.
Who is that? We had Brent Grimes was kind of that same way, which I loved Brent Grimes. as a
Brent Grimes
Falcons
was
fan.
awesome.
He was
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, but he was the same
Him
way.
being like
very-
he was like a 5'6" corner that could jump like 45.
He played
inches
like
off
he was
the
6'4",
ground.
though. You
Yeah,
would swear.
it was nuts.
Yeah, I loved Brent Grimes.
I really enjoyed Brent.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful for the Falcons. I'm hopeful for my fantasy team. Are y'all nervous about quarterbacks? Y'all waiting a little bit here?
No, I guess this year. I mean, I wanted Trevor Lawrence, and then that didn't happen. So now I think at this point, I mean, if Justin Fields is still there, I'll think about it. But
Yeah.
He's
even
falling,
still,
which is
he
interesting
is-
to me.
Yeah,
It
think
shows
it-
you the
I think like the
What-
teams
what-
that
what
wanted
else?
an early quarterback have all fallen already, and they all
Yeah.
have a quarterback, and they're trying to make up for that and get their position players.
yeah.
And then
It
the
makes
other people,
me-
they're like, oh, I'm gonna sit on it and wait on a quarterback till late. That's
Mhm.
who's remaining.
Well,
And
you got to
so-
take a Bryce Young and then maybe a Kirk Cousins as well. So that way you have your guy for
Yeah.
this year and you have the guy for the future or something like that. I'll be honest. It makes me feel good. You saying you were thinking about Trevor, you would have took Trevor Lawrence there in the third, Aaron, because
Oh yeah.
I was between Trevor Lawrence and Kenneth Walker. And I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, Lawrence is going to stay healthier than Walker. And two, like, this is the last of the top quarterbacks, I feel like, until you get to that next
Well,
level. And
and
if
I
I don't
think
take him now, I miss him.
He's what I thought Trevor would have gone higher because he's.
I did
mean,
too.
to me, talk about, and maybe this is falling back into overvaluing youth and dynasty,
Yeah.
but I mean that Jaguars team is peaking.
Absolutely.
As far as on they're done with their rebuild.
Yes.
They are a team now.
Yep.
And they've actually got a good coach for once.
Yep.
And I think Doug Peterson's great.
I did too.
I mean, think about this. I don't think if it weren't for Doug Peterson and the owner not liking each other, he's still in Philadelphia, right?
Absolutely.
Now. Yeah.
Yes. And they probably win a couple of championships in that time. Yeah. I'm 100% with you. And I also think too, like Trevor Lawrence was the best high school player in the country when he was in high school. He was the best college football player for a season when he maybe the whole time he was in quarterback for 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would it put it past me for him to be the best NFL player for a little bit? Maybe he could. I mean, it's hard to beat Mahomes.
At least
out.
a top 5.
But he could be in the top.
When you're paired with that like elite play caller and offensive mind and Doug Peterson, Doug Peterson is essentially a younger Andy Reid, except he actually won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, which
look
Andy
what he
Reid
did
was
with Carson
very
Wentz.
close a couple of times.
Yes. He made Carson Wentz look like a god.
Yeah.
And
then he won it with Nick Foles.
Yes, against the Patriots.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, who else has done that except for maybe John Harbaugh with Joe Flacco?
Right.
Yeah, no, he's the only one, and that's because the defense, though, for them was just that defense was crazy.
Plus, I'm putting that year's Flacco way over that year's Nick Foles. I mean, as far as
absolutely,
yeah.
Like,
so absolutely,
I mean, how well they played.
Yeah, right, exactly.
No, I think if you're going quarterbacks next, you're going to continue there, Aaron?
No.
Yeah, so on the quarterback trail, like I think I do agree, Justin Fields is that next guy. Sorry, Aaron. And then after that, it's Anthony Richardson, Deshaun Watson, Tua, Dak. But some of those guys are the in between of their career, and some of those guys are maybe too early to know. So,
and I was reading an article, and I listened to the Fantasy Footballers. Shout out to that podcast; they do great
work.
Them.
They're great.
They were actually high on Dak in a dynasty league.
Still,
and I've not been a Dak guy for quite some time, and you know me, I stick to my guns. But I was like, you know what? Let me try to reopen the mind. Let me go back and look, and I was like, oh no, he did lead the league in interceptions last year. Okay, we're closing that book back.
Did you see? He said so. Dak said in a conference or something like that earlier this summer that he will not throw more than 10 interceptions this year. And then basically like everything coming out on Twitter or X or whatever is basically just every interception he's thrown in training camp. And it's so many. It's so funny.
Did you hear him talking about Mike McCarthy and how confident he was in Mike McCarthy being the play caller and like how much better they're going to be? And I was wait,
Mike McCarthy's calling plays in Dallas this year?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Oh, yeah. I know Kellen Moore went to Los Angeles, I believe. Chargers,
Chargers, right? Which is awesome.
Baby.
That's great for Herbert.
I love my Herbie. I'm a little upset he didn't fall to me.
Yeah.
I would have taken him early.
I'm sad. I should have. But then I was actually thinking about taking him or Travis Kelce. I went Kelce, but but still.
Yeah, so Cowboys' new Texas Coast is what they're calling it. Offense with Mike McCarthy calling plays provides greater understanding and details.
Apparently, McCarthy come up with that.
Well, West Coast is very like free flowing. Apparently, it was too free flow for Dak to like
Texas Coast
take the most of it. So they're mixing the regimented play calling of Mike McCarthy with the West Coast offense. But Schottenheimer's their OC. Ew.
All right, watch out, everybody. Mike McCarthy's going to get fired halfway through this season, and
Dan Quinn's back.
Dan Quinn is going to be
Dan Quinn's back in the game.
And honestly,
they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think they'll be good after that, to be honest. But they'll have to restructure the entire offense.
I will give Dan Quinn credit in this one regard. He is really good. I think he's a very good motivator.
Yes.
But I think that he's not good at coming up with a fresh message. And that's what happened in Atlanta. He's a very good motivator. We popped off his first 2 years. You know, we caught lightning in a bottle.
And then we blew it against the Eagles in that playoffs the next year.
The third year, yeah.
Because we could have gone back to the Super Bowl that year. And
and when you say we blew it, I think you mean Julio solely blew it.
Well, there's a couple things in that game.
I'm kidding.
Was it Keanu Neal who like punted an interception he could have had? They would take it to the house. Like it was a pick six, and he like kneed it like through the end zone or something like that.
That did happen. I can't remember if it was that game, but
I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm joking. Of course, the last.
Well, Julio dropped a touchdown pass. No, I'm still blaming him too.
There's easy to remember that.
A lot of blame to throw around here, guys. I'm with
you. You're right, but yeah. Anyway, so he struggles at coming up with new, fresh messages. Mm-hmm. But I think, like what y'all are saying, if he takes over with Dallas, they might have 1 or 2 years of actually going somewhere in the playoffs. I mean, Dak is no Matt Ryan, of course. We all know that.
Wait, we need to pair Dan Quinn with God dang it, what's the coach's name? The guy that just won a national championship with LSU a couple years ago. Blanking.
Ed Orgeron?
Yes,
Yeah.
Ed Ogeron.
Yes.
Coach O?
No, baby.
Yeah,
no,
take-
baby.
Get that guy down to Dallas and coach with
Yes.
Dan Quinn.
That's
you
what
know
he should
I'm saying?
do. Dan Quinn takes over as the HC, and then he brings Ed in as his
Just the
defensive
hype guy.
coordinator.
Oh
Yeah,
my god!
yeah,
Oh
just
my
let him
god!
be the DC, dude.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Jerry Jones, if
Yep,
you're
down
listening,
there,
there you go. That's your
Yes.
path back to greatness.
that's your free.
Can we
free,
also Jerry Jones
advice,
is a
Jerry.
good drafter. Like I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. Is he a great owner? Nah, I don't know.
No.
He meddles too much, but
I think he's
they
a
get
bad
good
GM.
players. Dude, they hit with Dak, they hit with Micah, they hit with Zeke. Like when they took Zeke, they hit with Zeke.
Who just went?
Justin Fields.
Damn, Dannon.
Fields.
That's
At
okay. He
8.
made my decision easier.
So your boy Bleezy is on the clock.
You gonna go ahead and do this now? We're gonna take a little. Hayden and I can muck it up while you mull things over.
I think I already know who I'm taking here.
Uh-oh. But yeah,
Quick shout out to our other fantasy football league that Brady, the commissioner, he decided
Yes.
to get a cameo from Rex Burkhead to surprise us all this
awesome.
morning to tell us the draft order, which I got the last pick, so not thrilled about that, but was not expecting to have Rex Burkhead say my name this morning.
yeah, same.
Oh, that
or
was-
call
that
me
was-
out for my winning percentage in,
Oof.
in the league. Oh, I loved it. I mean, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Hey,
It
I
was
also called
awesome.
Levi out for his Kenny Steele
I-
proclivities.
That was
Did Brady
funny
just
as
give him
hell.
like a couple of like tidbits of like,
Yeah,
hey, throw this
I-
in here?
I think he said later that like in the cameo thing, you could put like 2 things you want him to say. And so I guess
Those are the
that
two.
was
Yeah. All right. I'm back in it, guys. I drafted Dobbins his rookie year, and he brought me, I think, to the championship, and I lost that year to Hayden, I think. And I then kept him the
Happens a
next
lot.
year, and he got hurt in training camp. And I didn't touch him last year, but I'm back in the game with Dobbins. I just
You're
drafted him in
so
the 5th.
back right now.
I'm so back. I'm back.
That's
Dude, he's
funny.
only 24. People forget that.
All right, here's just a little preview. So I'm next after Nick. I don't know.
He's
Nick's
on,
there
too.
too.
He's
He's
on one.
on. It's about to start going.
So tell me if I'm crazy, but is Scary Terry? I mean,
The thing that's scary about Terry is his quarterback. He's done it.
But
with-
he's put up numbers every year, though.
does.
It doesn't
but
matter.
this year is a 5th round rookie quarterback, Sam Howell.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
different. And the backup, Jacoby Brissett. So it's
But
going
here's
to be
the-
one of those two guys trying to get him the ball.
That's a good
I'm
point.
not
But here's the
convinced.
thing, Aaron. Are you in win? Are you thinking win now mode? Are you thinking? Because Kelsey and Adams,
You don't
and
go
Jacobs,
one
could
way
be
or
in
the
win
other
now.
fully, right?
No,
Or that's-
right.
My
Well, he
approach
has
is like
Brees
you try
Hall.
to find a
He has-
mix.
He has
Yeah,
Brees
I'm
Hall,
currently mixing.
but he has Brees Hall. But it's either he could go rookie wide receiver here or Terry McLaurin. Like personally, I thought about going Zay Flowers in my last pick. I thought about Christian Watson in my last pick.
Yeah.
But I went with a running back because I needed a running back. But I like Terry McLaurin. I thought about Terry as well. Like it depends if you're wanting a vet.
I do
Because here's
like
the thing, Terry. How many more years does Terry have there? Let's see, Terry.
He's probably got 3 or 4 years of being pretty productive.
Oh yeah, 3 or 4 more. Yeah, exactly. I'm just wondering how many more years on his contract because he could leave and go somewhere else.
I feel for him, man. I do.
Yeah,
he's
it
a
is.
stud. He gets fucked over
He's
every
so
year by
good.
that.
Do y'all remember
I mean,
that?
he's locked in through 2025.
Y'all remember that story that somebody told? I can't remember who it was or how valid it is, but I think it was a wide receiver coach at Ohio State when Urban Meyer was there, and this guy found Terry McLaurin's tape and like showed it to Urban, and Urban was like, "Nah, I don't know." Anyway, the story you guys, I'll try to find it for you guys because it's an amazing story of how perhaps dumb Urban Meyer was about this. This guy basically tells the story of like Urban was fully against Terry McLaurin and took an insane amount of convincing, and then he became Terry
God.
McLaurin.
And then
Oh,
he became Terry McLaurin.
speaking of which, there's that Netflix documentary that's coming out soon, which is like I think by the same people that did the MJ documentary about the 2007-2008 Florida Gators. Which-
Oh, yes.
so
That's gonna be
excited.
good.
Craziest
That is
cast
soon.
of characters and like what happened to them afterwards. So that's going to be
Oh
so
my
interesting.
gosh.
Mhm.
I think
When
that's why they
does
must
that
have kicked
come
me
out?
off in my mom's Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
was so I would buy it for that. So I'll chip in a month of Netflix subscription
Right.
so I can watch that. I saw a commercial for it recently. I was just like, oh my god, it's just nuts. It's
Yeah.
nuts. You got like super religious quarterback Hernandez, who's literally murdering people while he's there.
Riley
Then
Cooper, was he
Percy
on that team?
Harvin, Riley Cooper,
Yeah.
like it
And then
is
the coach,
nuts.
Urban Myers.
excuse
Yeah.
me.
So
If you want to hurt guys, if you want to hurt Gray, you take a running back. I don't know if you
Yeah.
need one. I don't know if you need one, but you,
I mean,
you take
Joe
a running
Mixon's
back.
sitting there.
Dude, I saw that too. Mixon is sitting there, and here's the thing about Mixon too. He's only 27. Like he's
Yeah.
got 2 or 3 more
I'm
years at least.
personally not a Joe Mixon guy, though.
Me neither. I wouldn't. Me neither.
he's on way too good of a team that showed too much talent.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
He'll score a lot of touchdowns, actually, though.
Don't let him get back to me now. I'll take a 5th running back real quick.
Dude, you have a stable of running backs, man.
I was getting shit. From everybody. So my approach was I didn't research at all really going into this fantasy season. Sometimes I can go too far and get too into it, and then I get in my head about it. So this year's approach was just let it happen, and I let the draft happen. I just kept having running backs fall to me. So I took Bijan and then Jonathan Taylor and then Saquon Barkley. So
I love it.
Pretty happy about that. And then
Ooh, Cam Akers, another running back went. There he goes, another one. So the young guys are going off.
Also,
Cam Akers is very similar to Dobbins. Oh, we lost Aaron.
Did he leave?
I think he might have lost. No, I don't think that was on purpose.
Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, we apologize for the camera angle, but I'm going to leave it right here for a minute because he might pop back in.
He'll be back.
While he's thinking about that pick, I just want to talk about how fun that the draft setup is.
Dude,
like,
so fun.
Did you hear about this? Like from somewhere?
Yeah, so
tell everybody how we're doing it.
Yeah, so everyone, we're doing a slow draft, and at first I thought this was the stupidest thing I ever heard because the way it was pitched to me was, look, man, everyone gets 12-hour picks. It won't matter when you make, like, it doesn't matter. Because the problem we were having was finding a date everyone can do it. It was going to be really hard. Everyone's schedule.
As we get older, it's like way harder to do.
There's kids involved. There's wives, families, all sorts of things. And so I was looking for other options, and I don't remember who. It may have been Knox. Shout out Knox, but it might have been Frank. And it might have been something I read. I read it too. And after like the third time person was saying, I was like, all right, you know what? Let's look into this. And so it's a slow draft. Everyone gets 12-hour picks. We paused the draft from 12 midnight till 4:30 in the morning. We have a couple people go and work early, so they wanted to open a little earlier. But really, no one sleeps for more than 12 hours anyway. So you're going to always be there for your pick. What I've loved about it is, one, typically the draft, you're so excited for it, and then it's over. It still goes. It's Christmas every day.
It's kind of like how HBO releases their shows over the course of 10 weeks as opposed to like you binge on Netflix. It's like that. So
that's
like
the best way
the
to
shows stay in relevancy for so much longer, and Apple TV does
Yeah.
the same thing. I love my pop culture. So
hey, but just like HBO shows, as we get to like pick 25, it's going to get worse. Like it'll be less fun the further we get. Like
probably.
But there may be more trades though. Like that's the thing is
the
trade. We're also allowing trades during the draft. So that's been really cool too, is like having time to not just be like, oh God, I got to pick someone. We can have trade talks live while you're on the clock, which has been nice because I'll be honest, some trades I thought about making, but then when I was like, shoot, I'm glad I didn't make that trade because my player was there. So it's better to like, honestly, if you see a guy there and you're like, I gotta go get him, message the guy early, try to get that trade go through.
Yeah.
I will say part of the downside though has been like wanting to keep going, like get 2 or 3 rounds in a row and wanting to like go, and people have been like they're present and they're not present. So that's been like, you know what I mean, not the most fun, but I feel like the highs are way higher than the lows.
Well, that's the thing, right? We didn't agree on a draft date that worked for everybody. So like some nights aren't going to work. So like me, it got held up, and I'm on Mountain Time, so I'm a couple hours back too. So it got held up with me on a date night last night. So everybody's kind of waiting, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'll make a pick. Boop.
Boop. Yeah, you're like, to you weren't thinking about it. You're
no,
like, oh,
not at all.
Pick. Here we go. Yeah.
No, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, which
yeah,
I'm trying to do that more and more lately, which helps my mental health.
I do it too. I found myself on Twitter less because it's become X. So our friend Aaron is off Twitter now. Yeah, he said when it became X, it was too far, and he's done with the app. So
I think they're getting sued and might have to convert back to Twitter. So they've already taken down like the signage that they had on their headquarter building. So
it's a mess, man. It's a mess. But yeah, I'm enjoying the draft. I'm ready for football. I've been loving training camp, all the stories. Do Clark Phillips, one story real quick, Falcons again. Clark Phillips, he's the guy we got out of Utah, 4th-round pick. He's a dog, man. Cornerback. He led the Pac-12 with interceptions last year, and then Drake London's last year in college, he locked him up in like the Pac-12 championship. And so in the first one-on-one, the Moneyball practice, Clark Phillips locked up Drake London. And then in the second Moneyball, Drake London mossed Clark Phillips. So it was cool. He got his revenge. But yeah, those are the battles you're looking for at camp. Like you want to see the team really going after each other.
Yeah.
Iron sharp as iron. I don't know if Aaron's gonna get his internet back.
He said that his
Discord updating plus phone call. I think he's just gone.
Or is that old? Oh, that's old. Yeah.
That is old.
I don't know if I feel like adjusting these camera angles or not.
No. Well, we can just end it. We're at almost an hour.
Well, do you want to talk? We should talk about the Braves a little bit, probably.
Forgot about.
We're about
them.
40 minutes in or so.
Cool,
I haven't been watching much, to be honest. It's kind of that midsummer lull and then just different life events and stuff going on. It's been tough to catch a lot of the games, but I try to catch up and watch the recap at the very least.
Yeah.
Trade deadline has passed now. Today's Wednesday, so it passed last night. We didn't do too much, and it may be a case of just if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So we have the best record in baseball, so let's just leave it alone. We're getting guys back from injury. Max Fried is coming back on Friday.
Absolutely.
We added to the bullpen. We got a couple of guys from Colorado, just like me.
But also you got Luke Stevens coming back, right? He's coming back. Jesse Chavez is coming back. Like a lot of people were. That's his name, right? Luke
Stevens.
Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson. That's his name. Yeah. Is that right?
Jackson Stevens?
Jackson.
Is that who you're talking
Jackson
about?
Stevens? What's his name? Yeah, the pitcher.
Talking
Luke
Braves.
Jackson?
He plays for the Giants now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Sorry,
right.
lost internet connection there.
Yeah, you're good, man. We're just talking about the Braves, and what I was saying is a lot. And I wanted to ask you this question: did y'all feel like we need to make some huge move here?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
a lot of
building on what I just said is like we're the best team in baseball. You know, you hope that nobody gets hurt, and honestly, the moves that we made are depth moves. The main being Nicky Lopez. We picked him up from the Royals
for nothing.
So earlier in the week, AA traded. Who did we trade with? The Rangers, I think, to get something Hearns.
Yep, Hearn. Yeah.
Who's a reliever. We gave them cash considerations for him.
Just money.
Then we flipped him for a utility player that can play third, short, second, and left field. And that's exactly what we needed. We need to upgrade our utility position in case somebody gets hurt to bridge the gap.
Also, if we need to get breaks near the end of the season, we can do that too. I just think too, like if you looked at who, like some of the best players declined to trade last night, he just was like, it's not worth going. Like I'm not going somewhere. I mean, if you think about it, like so, then the Dodgers went for Giolito. It's like the guys we're bringing back from injury are better than Giolito. You know what I mean? Like the way I looked at it was this: AA didn't sit and do nothing. He went out there and got relief help, got that back end depth that we needed. But also he's got Kyle Wright coming back, Max Fried coming back. You had Minter just come back. You have Chavez coming back. Like the players you're bringing back are better than almost any player you could trade for right now.
Nick Anderson's coming back. Colin McHugh. Like, I mean, we have a loaded bull. Like, it's going to be hard to figure out who's actually on our bullpen roster for the playoffs because that's how deep it is. If everybody's healthy. And then you have guys like Joe Jimenez that we had traded for this past offseason that are starting to click. And that's what you want to see is some of these guys that are going to be your high leverage inning relievers. You want to see them start clicking into place as we lead up to the postseason. So that way we have that Luke Jackson, Matzik, Minter,
Pierce Johnson now,
Melanson,
Brad Hand now.
Or, we just had that all lined up, ready to go. And like, or Will Smith at the time too.
Yeah.
All
you're
those
talking
guys.
Back. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Because once you get to the 6th or 7th inning, you can pick your spots with each of those guys, and it's hard to get a hit because the more you see a pitcher, the easier it is to hit them. So that's why you want to see more pitches if you can. These relievers that are really good, you don't get to see much, and then they can go night, and then boom, it's over. The night shift.
I mean, I'm right there with you, and I think. I just think that it wasn't worth giving up a guy like Von Grissom when you know the people you're getting back are the positions you need. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you already know you're filling these positions with players you're going to back from injury. And so then
Right.
next year, you're going to have to move on from some of them anyways. Whereas Von Grissom could be still a future player for us. Or
Could be.
you give him another year and he could get us a star next year. Like, you make a big trade or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I still wish that. I mean, he's raking in AAA still. I wish he would pick up left field. I wish they would let him make that transition now. It doesn't seem like maybe he just doesn't have the defensive tool, but you have to have that as a shortstop. But he can hit well enough, so find a place on the field for him. We have Orlando under contract for 2 more years after this year. I think
he's so good
for nothing. He's going to be our shortstop, and I'm delighted at that. It's a cheap, it's a bargain. So maybe we do use him to go get someone. And one name that has been tossed out there a lot, especially since the All-Star break, is Juan Soto. Because the Padres, a la the Mets, like they're both like the highest paid teams in baseball. They're both were sellers. The Padres a little bit less,
but they've had the best ERA in baseball since the All-Star break. So and they're 1 game under 500 now.
Yeah, well, good for them, but it's going to be tough battle in the NL West
and the Dodgers.
And
the Giants. Yeah,
it's
and the Giants.
Juan Soto was like palling around with Acuna and Ozzy and stuff like that.
He was.
The whole All-Star break.
I did see.
Yeah,
I did not see that.
He was hanging out with all the Braves basically, and I was like, "Oh, watch out now!" And what position do we need to fill? Really?
That's it.
Well, here's the thing: is the craziest part is Vegas odds have us as the favorites of landing him, and I was like, "Where did this come from? Like, how are we plus 100? We're the highest odds to land Juan Soto."
I think that's all contributing factor. And then you look at like the contracts that all of our guys.
What do we have to give up though?
Maybe not much if they're not going to pay him a long-term contract. And also the thing is too, this is what's going to start making people mad. If we start landing like a superstar like that, or pitchers that are superstars like that, because we have so much cap space and because we haven't paid our other stars as much, those players are going to sign for less to play with the Braves because of the talent, because of the atmosphere, and because of the organization. And oh my God, people are going to lose their shit if that were to happen.
We're like the Golden State of basketball or baseball right now, because that's what Golden State did. Oh, we got Steph, we got Trey.
Yeah, he would be our Kevin Durant.
Yeah. All right, I'll come play with you for cheaper because exactly. You got Kevin Durant. Yeah. I'll take that mid-level exception. I won't take the 20 million. I'll take the 10 million.
Mid-level.
And like he's sloppy in the outfield, but shit, so is Eddie Rosario, and he's been starting out there.
And Juan Soto,
most of the time.
Soto's walk percentage is incredible too. He has like the best bat discipline in the MLB.
I mean, we already have the NL leader in home runs, and then we have Ronnie, and then Ozzy is perennial all-star. It's incredible what's been built here. As long as everybody stays healthy, there's no reason we shouldn't make a run to the World Series this year and for years to come, which is incredible.
Absolutely.
We've become the Dodgers. We just hope to end up with more than one.
I am become Dodgers. Destroyer of worlds.
But we might be better than the Dodgers were. Like, we won one quicker than they did on the. Oh, absolutely.
That's a smarter way.
Yeah, smarter way.
Better coach too.
Also true. Yeah. It's better staff, better city, better state.
Dave Roberts was a better player, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Dave Roberts was a better player than Brian Snitker.
Our man's Brian didn't make it out of the minors. Nothing wrong with that, but he made it work. Anything else we talk about Braves-wise?
Aaron picked Scary Terry.
I did. Yeah, that's not Braves-wise, but
the 5th round.
Yeah, we went. I just couldn't. Yeah. He was just a good pick. I felt drawn to him like a magnet. I'm off to a flame.
He's a good player. He's honestly kind of like a D-Hop of his time. He's a couple years younger, but D-Hop has played with so many different starting quarterbacks, and he always finds a way.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Always finds a way.
Get the ball.
Speaking of which, do you think he'll be relevant in Tennessee?
No.
D-Hop?
No.
Yeah, it's where receivers go to die.
Someone say he's collecting the infinity gauntlet of mid teams to play for. He's doing a great job.
Did y'all hear Cardinals players say, "Yeah, coach can't be late with coach. Can't be late now." And it's like, could you be late before? So apparently there was like no discipline in the whole Cardinals organization with Cliff Kingsbury, and now apparently everyone's like, "Oh God!" Like there's like a lot of
no way. Johnny Manziel's head coach had no
rules,
team discipline.
What do you mean you could just be late? Are you kidding me?
Hey, coach, that sounds cool, but I'm playing Call of Duty tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyler.
Oh,
okay.
did you say team meeting? Well, did you know that the new Call of Duty just came out?
Where are we dropping, boys? yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Just fine them. Fine them if they're late. Right? I mean, that doesn't make people like you, but you got to be there.
You do need to be there.
Jeez. Kind of
Yeah,
tracks
man.
with how
man.
poorly things went for Cliff there.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense to me.
But hey, he absconded with. I mean, that man. Wow, they gave him that huge extension and fired him 1 year later. Or
Yeah, he stole
2?
so much money from
It was
that
like an
organization.
8-year
But they were.
extension or something like that.
I can't even
Yeah.
say they stole money because what dumb ownership. Just awful. I mean, we could see from the outside it wasn't working.
It's not his fault.
How can I know
that they
it's not
paid
working?
him that money? That's
Yeah,
not
right.
Cliff Kingsbury's fault. Yeah, exactly. I don't
Honestly,
know.
you get that long of a contract, you try to get fired
Yeah,
as soon as
Because then-
possible.
exactly. 'cause
absolutely.
You
then-
got your guaranteed money, and then
You're
you're
on a
like,
fucking-
then you get bought out.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay, sick. I'm taking the family to Cabo. I'm not going to coach football for maybe ever.
I probably won't ever do this again. Yeah,
And if there's not
exactly.
if there's not a clause in that contract, you go get another coaching job, and then you compound that
Ew.
earning, right?
And then you get fired there.
Yeah,
There it
that's
is.
the Charlie
Yes.
Weiss method right there, baby.
that
Yes.
is the Charlie Weiss.
You fail
Yes.
upwards
Yeah,
the whole
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
I think there was a
Absolutely.
time where Charlie Weiss was getting paid by Notre Dame and Florida while at another job, which is just so.
Was that when he
sick.
was at Kansas probably or something like that? Or did he go to Kansas? Or was that Les Miles?
Les
Might have both been
Miles.
there. Let's see. Charlie.
Les Miles went to Kansas. Did Charlie Weiss go to Kansas?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I
Yes.
think you might.
he did.
Did he? Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Nice.
2012 to 2014.
Okay. Yeah. But he wasn't the one that made him good, though.
No,
That
Mm.
other big dude with a
No.
mustache. Charlie doesn't have a mustache, but he's big.
He's a
Who was
big
that
dude.
guy's name?
I'm about to
Anyway,
look. No, Kansas was electric for a little bit when we were younger.
there was that too. It was like Kansas and Missouri were good for the first time ever together before Missouri came to the SEC.
I'll
Wait.
do it.
In 2007, they got up to ranked second in the nation.
Yeah. No, but that's because 2007 was the craziest college football year ever to exist ever.
They went 12-1 that year.
Yeah.
Their coach was
Do y'all remember that year?
Mark Mangio.
Is that
Mark
that's when we
Mangino,
played
yes.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Georgia. That's the
Bowl?
year that Georgia got robbed. Georgia
Oh,
should've
Missouri. They
been-
lost to Missouri that year.
Yeah.
Okay. Kansas.
Georgia was should have gone on that championship, in my opinion. I believe we were third or no, we were fourth, I think. And then teams 1 and 2 lost on the last week of the season. Georgia stayed where they were, and then I think we got leapfrogged by.
We didn't
Like
go to
a
the
hot-
SEC championship. I
Yeah,
think that hurt
exactly.
us.
Yeah, we didn't go there. Yeah, exactly. And so the BCS, it was all about points and shit. And so yeah, exactly right, Hayden. So we didn't go, and we just happened to go to the Sugar Bowl and beat the absolute shit out of Hawaii. Bad.
Wait, was that a year that Missouri had Chase Daniel?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They were both when they played. I believe they were both ranked in the top 5. which
yeah,
is-
they were. Yeah, Missouri was 3, and I'm not sure what
Kansas was
Kansas
probably
was
like
at that time.
2
Probably
or
5.
4 or something.
Oh no,
like
they were
that, or
number
5.
2.
They were 2. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
2v3. That
Isn't
year's
it-
nuts.
Isn't it weird, like talking about stuff that happened 15 years ago, and you just like
Yeah.
rattle it off from memory?
Yeah, it is weird.
Oof.
Here's another portion. The Pitt beat second-ranked West Virginia. That was the
Is
Pat,
that Pat White?
Slayton.
Keith Slayton. Yes, dude, they were
They were-
electric.
they
Shout
were
out
number
Drew
2.
Cross.
Yes,
I
Yeah.
loved that West Virginia team.
Oh, me too.
They were number 2 in the nation, slated to go to the national championship game, and Pitt, who was like 4-7, they beat them 13-9, I believe.
Wasn't it like a
was.
cold game and like
Yes,
Yeah.
and it was the weirdest, or maybe it's 12-9 because I think they were like up 10-7. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing it up is it's the strangest way I've ever seen a huge upset end. They actually had a timeout left. West Virginia did, and so they had to they were able to force Pitt to punt with like 10 seconds left, and so there was a chance to get the ball and throw a Hail Mary. So what happened was. And Pitt was in their own territory. So West Virginia was going to have good field position. The punter takes the snap and runs backwards into
waste
the
time.
end zone and then took a safety
yeah.
because they were up by 3. or I don't remember the exact numbers.
Right.
Anyway, he ended up wasting.
It was
all the
13-6 at that time, I think, or something like
Okay,
that. Or 13
yes.
to 13-7.
13-7. That's what it was.
13-7.
13-7. So they were up 6. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've never seen anything like it. It was so cool. Ran out of the back of the end zone, took the safety as time expired. Game over, baby. Number 2 goes down. It was so sick.
You're right. What a wild season of college football.
It's the craziest year I've ever seen. I'm not sure we'll ever get anything like it.
Because West Virginia lost to, I'm looking at it now, they lost to South Florida early in September that year, but then went on to just massacre everybody else.
I thought they were undefeated, but okay, they lost early.
They had one loss by 8 points to South Florida early in the season.
And that's another, they were beneficial, they're a beneficiary of that season because normally a team like West Virginia taking an early season loss to a team like South Florida, that's going to bury you. But so many top teams kept getting knocked off.
Doing that, yep.
And I think UCF was good, or USF was decent back then too.
Yeah, they finished ranked that year.
Yeah.
Was it just me? And this could be the last time we talk about. I know we're at that hour mark, but
I know we're rambling on old college football here. But
and this is about old college football too. Is it me, or has the SEC become more dominant in the last 10 years? Like since they went from the playoff game or BCS playoff game, because
I think
it's 2010.
I think they are more dominant now, but I think it's in not the best way. I think what's becoming true now was what the haters of the SEC thought was true back then, which was that the SEC was top heavy, and it wasn't back then. I think it is now. You got Georgia and Alabama, and then
the top just that much better.
That one tier, and then but think about it this way. I don't like back then. Your Vanderbilts, your Arkansas. Oh, I'm sorry, Arkansas fans, for putting you guys next to each other in a sentence there. Back then, those teams would get the shit beat out of them in the SEC, maybe, but then they'd go beat the shit out of other teams in other conferences. Now, I don't know. I don't think that happens as much.
I mean, the best way to always measure it though is bowl season. If you look at bowl season this year, Tennessee beat Clemson 31-14. Alabama beat Kansas State.
That's what I was going to say. I think there's a tier. There's another tier after Georgia, Alabama.
And LSU though, LSU won big time.
Georgia used to always be a part of the second tier.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I get you. Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, here's some more. Arkansas beat Kansas, and that was a decent Kansas team this year. Ole Miss did lose to Texas Tech. So that's not a great loss.
That's not good.
Bowl games don't mean anything unless you're in the playoffs, though.
You're right. No, you're right.
Especially if you're a team like Ole Miss, who at one point was ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
I think they are going to be way less motivated in bowl games.
Absolutely.
You don't know what's going on with coaching situations. Like coordinators just leave after the regular season. Like players sit out even for
draft
games.
Purposes. Yeah. No, you're right. I agree with that. I mean, LSU beat Purdue 63-7, and that Purdue team was ranked. So
here's something to think about as we get close to signing off here. Why can't, and the answer is money, but why can't the FBS just fully transition to what the FCS does, which is just have a huge NCAA tournament? Like they do a football version of the NCAA tournament in Division II.
Really?
Where, they have seeds 1 through 8, I think it is, in 4 different regions. And then they all meet in a semifinal, and then those teams play
for football.
For football. Yeah, I think it's like a 4 or 5 round process.
I mean, we're heading that way.
They Division II plays 15 or 16 games when it's all said and done.
I feel
if not more.
I feel like what I've learned when it comes to this football stuff is it's just all the money, like you said. They're gonna wait till the money is there for the TV contracts to make sense before they get that far. And the TV contracts are gonna want to wait to see if the 12 team is successful this year or whatever.
It'd be because of all the other teams that aren't playing in that time span. If that makes sense. So all the teams that aren't competitive, but they still have sell stadiums out and stuff like that.
That's a good point.
They just wouldn't be playing those games.
True. Yeah. That's true. There's too much money to be made.
It is. And it is, that's sad. But I don't know if you guys get into it, but in the holiday season, it's on a lot of days that don't have bowls is when they do the playoff rounds of the FCS.
That's cool. I didn't even look at that.
You should watch it. It's really cool. I think they do a great job.
Well, boys.
Righto.
It's been good. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, same. This was electric. Sorry I took an absence there, but
you came back. Good. Came back through, man.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Later.
Before you go, if you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and share with your friends. If you'd like to see these mugs, all of our video podcasts are now available on YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. For more content, follow at Blursed Sports on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. You can also follow us individually at Blursed Blake, at Blursed Hayden, and at @A_Kais. If you're interested in chatting with us directly, join our new Discord community by typing discord.io/BlursedSports into your browser. As always, a huge shout out to our music man, Oh No, for keeping the vibe right and laying down straight slappers every week. You can find his information in the show notes. Thanks again so much for listening, and see you next week.